Alright, everybody. If you're discouraged because last time I told you that if it was November 23rd and you're still watching this video, that you probably weren't going to finish in time, if it's still November 23rd, you're probably going to finish in time. That's the good news. Bad news is you got some work for me to do. Alright, so here's what you got. Unit 5, Notes 3, quadratic formula. So we're going to have this fancy quadratic formula we can solve quadratics with. Everybody's happy. Perfect. Let's do some square roots. Square root of 16. You need to know that's 4. If you got a calculator that you need to use, perfect. Now this is the one we got to talk about for a second. This is a -5. If that negative is on the inside, I want you to write no solution. Alright, it's an imaginary number, and you just shouldn't know imaginaries yet. So if it's on the inside, it's -20. It's no solution. If it's on the outside, you take the square root of 25, which is 5, and then just throw that negative sign on top of it. So it's -5 for a final answer. Down here, I know we'll just leave that 34 alone. We'll do minus, and then 2 times 3 is 6 times 3 is 18. Ooh, I like that. 34 minus 18 is 16, and we already know that's 4 from up above. Then this last one. This is plus or minus. Somebody somewhere couldn't decide what they were going to use, so they put plus or minus. No, actually, the square root of 49 is 7. Okay, what this means is that one answer is a +7, the other answer is a -7. So for all these plus or minus ones, you need to know 2 solutions. Hopefully me going over this helps you later on. So we're going to move on. Hopefully you got square roots. Ooh, I didn't realize this. Alright, this is a lot of work. Let's try it. 3 squared is 9 minus 4 times 2 is 8 times a -2 is -16. Okay? Somehow, some teacher besides me taught you this is 9 plus 16, or in other words, 25, which really equals 5. Awesome. Over here, this is -7. I can't even move on. Somehow, if you're missing this step right here where you don't know it's a plus, you're going to need a lot of help. Go away, toolbar. I don't like you. I'm punching the smartboard. It won't leave. -7 minus square root. -5 squared is 25 minus 4 times 1 is 4 times 4 is 16. Oh, I can do this one. -7 minus square root 25 minus 6 is 9. So it's really -7 minus 3, which is -10. I can't believe. Wait there. Right click. Oh, don't. Alright, achieved. Beautiful. Alright, so now we got 11 plus or minus square root. Alright, I'm comfortable with knowing -7 times -7 is a +49 minus 4 times 5 is 20 times 2 is 40. Alright, so now I have 11 plus or minus the square root of 9, which is actually just 11 plus or minus 3. This is where you have the situation where you have 2 different answers. Think blue will show up? Maybe. Here, I would split it into 11 plus 3 and 11 minus 3. So our answers are 14 and 8. So I need to know that it's 8 and 14. If I were solving for x, I might write x equals 8 and 14. Remember, it's not an ordered pair. It's just 2 answers. So I just separate them by the comma, no parentheses. All right. One thing you got to lock gel for is this plus or minus. Obviously, it's different than this one. Okay. We're just building up to it. The quadratic formula is, oh, I got to actually write it for you. Negative, maybe it shows up if I click this. Oh, there it is. Boom, I can bounce this around. -b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. I still have this memorized till today. It is one thing you're going to use for like the next 4 years, no matter what math class you take. You're just going to have to memorize it. There's no good way around it. We do actually have it on the final for you, but you need to know it for some of the quizzes and such. So one thing I would do is you could go to YouTube, and there's all sorts of funny, if you go to YouTube, search the quadratic formula, there are all sorts of songs and dances and things that teachers have thrown together to help kids memorize it. In Miss Johnson's video, I think she sings the Hokey Pokey or something like that. Alright, well, however you figure out how to remember this is perfectly okay with me. I just recited negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a like 100 million times, and I finally got it mastered. But, hey, be excited about it. It's going to give you a lot of correct answers. So, the quadratic formula. This formula solves quadratics to find roots, zero, solution. Equations must be set to 0 to solve. Alright, there's going to be some that we don't have them set to 0, and you got to set it to equal to 0 to solve it. Can be used, remember all that factoring we did? If it's an easy one, we want to factor it and do the zero product property. But if it's a difficult one and you can't find solutions, you can still do the quadratic formula. And all those ones that couldn't factor before, we now have the quadratic formula to solve. So what you want to do is you want to find what A, B, and C equal. That's all we did in notes 1 and 2. Then we plug A and B into the formula. We simplify, round your answer. Right here, 2 decimal places. If, who can I pick on today? Joey Lamont. If Joey Lamont keeps coming and bugging me about how many decimal places to round to, we're going to be in trouble. I missed Joey. Joey, I hope you're finishing up on time. That was my goal for you. Now, here's what we got. A equals 3, B equals negative 7, C equals negative 20. You should have that down. Now my big fancy equation. X equals negative B plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. X equals negative b. So negative of a negative 7 is a positive 7 plus or minus negative 7 squared minus 4 times a is 3. This is 20. Yep, that bar was big enough. 2 times a is 3. So what do I have here? I have x equals 7 plus or minus the square root. So I would write this myself as 49 minus 4 times 3 is 12 times 20 is 240. That's a big number. All divided by 6. Well, that ain't too bad. We'll move it up here. So I'm going to have x equals 7 plus or minus 40. Ooh, I didn't do this right. This is a negative 20. Hopefully you caught that. Negative and a negative make this a plus 240. So this is 289 divided by 6. So I would go one step farther. 7 plus or minus 17 over 6. Here's my spot where I do 2. Okay? Because 6 doesn't go into 7. So I would do x equals 7 plus 17 divided by 6. And x equals 7 minus 17 divided by 6. X equals 24 divided by 6, which is 4. And x equals negative 10 divided by 6. I would say x equals negative 5/3. Whew! I got it all on there. Hey, if you would just want to circle them separately, that's fine. If you want to write x equals negative 5/3, comma 4 and circle it, that's even better. If you have 2 answered circle, that's what I'm looking for. Okay, I'm looking for you to know that it splits in 2 at the plus or minus stage. So all these are going to have 2 answers. No matter what you do, This has a plus or minus in it. Every time you use this sucker, you got two answers. So memorize it. Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. This actually here is what we call function notation. Function notation. And all you can do with that is fine to just write 0 equals x squared plus 3x minus 18 on. Okay? It's just a fancier way of doing things. Function notation will be a vocab word you'll see in the ACT and things like that. A equals 1, B equals 3, C equals negative 18. X equals, I'll write it out. The more you write it out, the more you're going to know it. So make sure you're writing it out a bunch of times. So I have negative b. So I'm just going to write negative 3 plus or minus b squared. B squared will be 3 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1. C is negative 18. Whew. Then divided by 2 times a, which is 1. I don't want a there. I guess we'll rewrite it. 2 times 1. Okay, x equals negative 3 plus or minus square root 9 plus 72. Ooh, divide by 2. I like that. X equals negative 3 plus or minus square root 81. Some of you might ask, why do you think Mr. Hooper likes it? Because I know the square root of 81 is a nice number. Negative 3 plus or minus 9 divided by 2. This is it, folks. The moment we've all been waiting for. Two possibilities. X equals negative 3 plus 9 divided by 2. And x equals negative 3 minus 9 divided by 2. Either way I do that, I get x equals 6 divided by 2. X equals 3. X equals negative 3 minus 9 is negative 12 divided by 2. X equals negative 6. Here, I'll rewrite it. X equals negative 6 comma 3. Whew. That's all you gotta do. Now that's a lot of work. I know it's ugly, but it's one of the most liked equation, most used equations in math. Quadratic formula and the Pythagorean theorem are the two that you're going to use all the time and are really the why math is math type stuff. Alright? It is exciting, even though I don't sound excited. Alright, this is number 3. This is the one I was actually talking about. Okay? This one here, I did that whole problem wrong. Uh-oh. That would be an awesome deal if that was the problem I was supposed to do. Here's what your paper has. You have a plus here. So I have a plus 18. Okay. Either way, I'm going to have the same thing in my quadratic formula. I'm going to have negative 3, x equals negative 3 plus or minus 3 squared minus 4 times 18 minus 1. Holy buckets. Divide by 2 times 1. So what you end up having is x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 72 over 2. Okay? This is going to equal negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 63 divided by 2. Right now, you don't know how to solve that. That's an imaginary number. So I want you to write no solution. Okay, I'm going to check with Miss Humbert and Miss Johnson tomorrow, but that's what I want you to write. I want you to write no solution. Okay, we're not worried about you being able to solve that yet. So just write no solution. Then this last one. Alright, 4x squared plus 2x. Does this equal 0? No, but I'm alright with that because I can minus 17, and I know it goes to 0. So I'm going to minus 17 on both sides. and this is going to equal 0. Now the beauty of it is I have A equal to 4, B equals to 2, and C equals to negative 17. Alright, x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. X equals negative b negative 2 plus or minus. Alright, so I have 2 squared minus 4 times a is 4 times c is negative 17 divided by 2 times a is 4 again. So I have x equals negative 2 plus or minus. In this step, I'm going to do 2 squared is 4. I'm going to see this, I'm going to see a negative. 4 times 4 is 16 times 17 is 272. And I see that that's a negative 17, so negative and a minus a negative is going to become a plus, all divided by 8. Go one step forward. Alright, so I'm going to have x equals negative 2 plus or minus square root of 276 divided by 8. X equals negative 2 plus or minus. If you have a calculator already, you did this and found out it's not a nice number. What we'll do here then is this is the step we'll go to 2. We'll do x equals negative 2 plus 16.61 divided by 8, and x equals negative 2 minus 16.61 divided by 8. Here we have x equals 14.61 divided by 8, and here we have x equals negative 18.61 divided by 8. If you do that correctly in your calculator, you're going to have a negative 2.33 and a positive 1.83. Whew. Alright, that's the end of the notes video. I'm sorry about number 2. I changed it in the original one, but it didn't get changed here. Alright, so you got to know when it's a negative one, we're going no solution. Alright, when it's a positive one, you could have been able to solve it all the way. Alright. Sorry about that, guys. Have a good day.